Hello friends, welcome. As a serious student of Jyotish, at some point of time you must be deeply concerned with at least two questions. And those two questions are: is everything predestined? And the second question is: do the planets affect everything? You might think that there is hardly any difference between these two questions, but this particular question, is everything predestined? The scope of this question is very wide, and this question has a deep philosophical undertone. So, I'm going to discuss about this question at the end of the video. Let me first share my thoughts on this particular question: do the planets affect everything? This question came into my sharp focus as recently I was reading some articles by Mr. Bhaskaran of Cuspal Interlink fame. And I think it is one good example of how an obsession with astrology results in a belief system that planet control and affect everything, including very small things in life. So look at this article uh, from Mr. Bhaskaran's book, Application of Cuspal Interlink. Here, Mr. Bhaskaran is explaining that how even the day-to-day routine small tasks are governed by the interlinking of cusp and the planet. This is what he writes. This is how all the 9 planets act on the daily life of a person through the transit of moon in their respective stars and suns. Now, some of his observations are very amusing. Take a look at this. Brushing the teeth, 2 and 3. That means every morning when you get up, and then all these, the transit of the planet and the interlinking is responsible for these routines, day to day routines. Leaving the bed, the eighth cuspal sublord. Face washing is 3 and 5. And coffee is 2 and 6. Even toilet is there. So, toilet is 1, 8, and 12. So I don't know if on a specific day, if you don't get the urge to visit the toilet, then probably these particular cuspal significators are in some way responsible for it. You see this kind of obsession with astrology and trying to explain everything through the lens of the planets and the cusp leads to something that is called fatalism. That planets affect everything, they control everything, and there is nothing one can do. Even the small activities in life is controlled by the planets. Now, this set of users or the astrologers believe that just about everything is governed by planets. Now, here one interesting thing you would see is that Mr. Bhaskaran has mentioned only about the 9 planets. So that means that Neptune, Uranus, etc. These planets unfortunately has no say on your daily routine. Now there are more. He has given a list of all these daily tasks. This is a long list. So I don't know how these combinations are identified. For example, footwear 1, 3, 12. So the cuspal sublord 1, 3, 12. When they are handshaking with the transit of the planet, then I don't know what the footwear means, the wearing the footwear or unwearing the footwear. But 1, 3, 12. This combination is required. And then there are other too many interesting, and there is one, look, scolding by the boss, 7 and 8. So when I was looking at all these combinations, and then I thought, I don't know how these combinations are identified, but based on Bhaskaran's own list, I was able to clubbed at least two combinations into one and came up with my own. So let me show you what I mean here. So I picked up these two combinations: toilet 1812 and reading newspaper 139. So I thought that if these two combinations are acting together on a particular day, so then what happens? Then you start reading the newspaper in the toilet, right? So this is how you come up with the combinations. But I have to put this particular combination to some test. Now the Bhaskaran doesn't stop with that. He is ready to suggest the applied side of these kind of theories on a horoscope. So let's take a look at another article in his book where he is discussing the noble death of astronaut Srimati Kalpana Chawla. We know that Kalpana Chawla died in that spacecraft accident. Now here is an explanation, and this explanation is also in the light of that everything is governed by the planets, and not only everything is governed by the planets, everything can be explained by the planets. And look at the explanation. She died while she was rendering her professional service. Sixth cusp. Okay. It is a noble sacrifice for the cause of mankind. 1 and 10. She was of Indian origin but an American citizen. 1 and 12. So list goes on. And you see, there is an astrological explanation for everything, but I am not sure how convincing this kind of explanation could be. But this kind of a mindset usually gives rise to a set of a believer that they think that there is some theory, some old manuscript, some old book that has a that carries the key to making all kind of small or all kind of predictions. So this mindset that there is something exists, some old book, some old theory, some nadi theory, and that can be used to predict even the very small incident in a person's life. Now, if you look at all these articles about from Mr. Bhaskaran about his combination list using various cuspal sublord and all that, and if you try to apply this in a horoscope, let me say if I give you this horoscope, and if I provide you with a detailed birth chart with all possible tables, whatever you need, cusp, linking, everything, and if I ask you to predict in this birth chart about, let's say, taking medicines or purchase of fruits. So if I ask you this question by giving you this chart with all the details, you might think that I've gone mad. So the this this kind of a mindset, this kind of an outlook that has that says that if everything is not only controlled by a planet, but it can be explained also by a planet, is a weird, kind of a outlook. And see, and one of the things about this mindset is, or this approach is that this logic, this whole explanation can be very easily punctured because this is not based on any solid rational ground. And but I'm going to show you how this approach is a self-defeating argument. And now what happens is when a person says that planets affect and control everything, then he or she imagines this kind of a scene where everything is everything is in this circle and the astrologer himself is out of this circle. So he is away from the circle. He is not a part of that, I would say, ecosystem or a bubble. And from here, he can predict and define and explain everything that is happening. But the reality is not this. The reality is that when we say that the planets affect and control everything, that means this astrologer is also part of this bubble. So the real scene is something like this, where this particular astrologer is also a part of this bubble. He is not outside the part of the bubble. Right? And since now he is also a part of this bubble, so all his theories, whether it is right or wrong, whether it is correct or incorrect, whether it is logical or illogical, you can't blame him, because since the planet affect and control everything, and he is also a part of this ecosystem. So well, I mean, you can't blame him for all kind of weird explanations. Now let's compare, this thing with the second type of question. Uh, the planets affect and control everything. This gives rise to fatalism, and this fatalism gives rise to fear psychosis. This you will see, the people who believe that everything is controlled by planets, they have some kind of a fear psychosis. They are afraid on a daily transit of planets and things like that. I have seen a lot of these kind of people who are always afraid of some planetary movement, and I think this is happening because they have this kind of an outlook that the planets control everything. Now compare this to with this kind of a, the second kind of question in astrology: is everything predestined? Now this question gives rise to a sense of awe. This question will give rise to a sense of mysticism. For this reason only, you will see that the world's leading scientists and intellectuals, they are focused on this question. They keep asking this question in various flavors. Is everything predestined or not? This question is being asked by the leading scientists of the world, and you'll find very interesting videos on YouTube. Now, you don't have to be a scientist to ask this question. As a Jyotish, as an astrologer, you already have that advantage of asking these kind of a question. And so when you talk about, or when you think about the destiny, prarabdha, law of karma, etc., then that leads to more profound question. And for this reason, the Jyotish is called as Vedang. You must be aware that Jyotish is called Vedang. But Vedang is not a certificate or a degree. Though I have seen many astrologers wear this particular word Vedang on their badge or on their sleeves, and I think it gives an impression that if a particular astrologer is using this prefix Vedang, then he or she might have in her exclusive possession some secret astrological theories found in Vedas only. That is not true. Basically, when I see astrologers using this word Vedang, I think it's just for creating a more sale value. And let me share my thoughts that what this particular word Vedang means. Jyotish is called as Vedang, a system in the good books of Veda. Veda is recommended. Veda is always appreciative of people who learn astrology, who are Jyotishi, because it provides you the platform to ask the perpetually unanswered question. And what is one of the perpetually unanswered question? Is everything predestined? This question, as an astrologer, you have the advantage to ask compared to the other normal people. That's why the whole system of astrology or Jyotish is called as a Vedang, or as something, a system that is already in the good books of the Vedas. That's all in this video. Thanks for watching.